Namaskar friends, let's get quickly started with the MCQs on placenta and fetal membranes that have been asked in previous year questions, various entrance examination, and this will also be a quick recap of the topic. Now first question, all are associated with hydramnios except premature labor. Yes, polyhydramnios, because of the overstretching premature labor it causes. Gestational diabetes is a cause of polyhydramnios, and renal agenesis. Renal agenesis is a cause of oligo and not poly. So answer is renal agenesis, and increased amniotic fluid is nothing but the hydramnios. Now next question is indication of amnio infusion. Oligo, yes, first is the option, it is the indication. Then renal agenesis, it causes oligo and hence it is again the indication of amnio infusion. And case of D is fetal distress, sometimes because of cord compression, and when woman is in advanced labor it is better to do amnio infusion. So option 3, that is to facilitate labor, is not the answer. A case of 35-week pregnancy with hydramnios and marked respiratory distress is best treated by. Options are intravenous furosemide, IV or IM or tablet. These diuretics, they are contraindicated in pregnancy. Saline infusion, no. Amniocentesis, yes. Artificial rupture of membranes means induction of labor. If she would have been 37 weeks, then this would have been the answer. But as she is 35 weeks, at 35 weeks, we do not expect the fetal lung maturity. So we want that pregnancy should continue by 2 more weeks minimum. So for that, we will go for amniocentesis. The causes of polyhydramnios. What are the causes of polyhydramnios? Let's see options one by one. A, diabetes mellitus. Yes, it is one of the cause of polyhydramnios. B, preeclampsia. No, it is, if it is associated with intrauterine growth restriction, it is associated with oligo and not with poly. Esophageal atresia. When it is esophageal atresia, the fetus in utero will not swallow and the liquor, and it will lead to polyhydramnios. Renal agenesis, we just saw it is associated with oligo and not poly. And anencephaly, it is also associated from exudation of the membranes. So option A, C and E in this case. Which of the following condition is associated with polyhydramnios? Another question, another year. Posterior urethral wall, it leads to distended urinary bladder, and sometimes it may lead to this hydronephrosis in the fetal kidneys. So posterior urethral wall is not associated with poly. Cleft palate, because there is difficulty in swallowing, so cleft palate is the cause of is associated with polyhydramnios. Yes. Congenital diaphragmatic hernia, no. Bladder exostrophy, no. A pregnant woman is found to have excessive accumulation of amniotic fluid. What is this excessive accumulation of amniotic fluid? It is nothing but polyhydramnios. Such polyhydramnios is likely to be associated with all of the following condition except twinning. Yes, twins may have poly. Microencephaly, it is also associated. Esophageal atresia, yes, it is also associated. Which is not associated? It is bilateral. Renal agenesis. Such polyhydramnios is likely to be associated with all except. So bilateral renal agenesis is associated with oligo. And pregnancy usually, in cases of bilateral renal agenesis, because of oligo, pregnancy usually does not continue till term also. Remember this. Oligohydramnios is seen in, again the question, renal agenesis. So now you can understand this association of renal agenesis with oligo is so much common and it is so much frequently asked. Esophageal atresia, it causes poly, not oligo. Exomphalos and neural tube defect. These B and D are associated with polyhydramnios. So oligo is seen in renal agenesis. Now next question, again oligo is associated with Again option B, renal agenesis, that is true. Also oligo may no, not in premature birth. Okay, now oligo is associated with renal agenesis. In some cases when it is severe oligo, you may have to induce labor. That if renal agenesis is not the answer, then premature birth may be associated with oligo because of induction that we do. Now next is renal agenesis is associated with, again option is very clear, that is oligohydramnios. The pH of amniotic fluid. In my previous quick recap video on placenta and membranes, I told that amniotic fluid is little alkaline and specific gravity is very low. Specific gravity is very low. So specific gravity is around 1.008 and pH is around 7.1 to 7.3 and some books mention 7 to 7.5. So in this case best option is 7.1 to 7.3 B. Always remember it is little alkaline. 7 is neutral and little alkaline, 7.1 to 7.3 is the answer. Now next question, surfactant appears in amniotic fluid at the gestational age of, nowhere it is mentioned accurately this same wordings, but by collecting few knowledge, like at 28 weeks we give steroid for causing fetal lung maturity, because the surfactant producing cells now are present in the lungs. So surfactant producing cells appear at 28 weeks. So surfactant will appear in amniotic fluid, it will start at 28 weeks. If they have asked, it starts, appears in amniotic fluid at 28 weeks. D is the answer. Now amniotic fluid is mainly produced by placenta? No. Earlier it was proposed that it may be transudate? No. Chorion, amnion? No. It is produced from the fetal urine, also through the fetal skin before 20 weeks of gestation. So answer here is B. That is amniotic fluid is produced by the fetus itself. A finding of a single umbilical artery on examination of the umbilical cord after delivery. This is also covered in detail in the quick recap video. You can go through the description link. It is insignificant? No, it is not insignificant. It is significant because in almost 25% of the cases it is associated with congenital malformation. Okay, so it is not insignificant. It is rare, 0.9% it may occur only. So it is not occurring in 10%, an indicator of considerably increased incidence of major malformation. Yes, C is the answer, and it is equally common in newborn of diabetic and non-diabetic. It is not the answer. The fetal blood is separated from syncytial trophoblast with all except. This is fetal blood in the fetal capillaries. Okay, fetal blood is present where? In the fetal capillaries in the villi. Now what happens? After this there is mesodermal stromal tissue. So B is present, mesenchyme of intervillous blood space, it is present. Then cytotrophoblast outer layer is present. Fetal blood capillary membranes, they are also present. What is not present is decidua parietalis. And here it is syncytial trophoblast. So they are asking, this syncytial trophoblast is separated from these fetal capillaries by, all these three are present except the decidua parietalis. Decidua parietalis is present. It is that part of the endometrium which is lined except at the part where there is placenta. So suppose this is the placental implantation. This part, this endometrial, this is converted to decidua parietalis. So answer is D. During fetal life, maximum growth is caused by insulin and insulin-like growth factors. B is the answer. Now, hormone responsible for decidual reaction and area stellar reaction in ectopic pregnancy, it is progesterone. Progesterone is responsible for decidual reaction. The changes in the decidua that are occurring after fertilization is progesterone. High level of HCG is found in twin pregnancy, yes. Down syndrome, yes. Choriocarcinoma, yes. It is not high in ectopic pregnancy. In fact, if the beta HCG increase is not seen twofold, it is not doubled in 48 hours period, it is said to be indicator of ectopic pregnancy. Where we have suspicion, in that case what we do, we go for sequential HCG quantitative HCG measurement over a period of 48 hours, and we see whether it is doubling or not. If it is not doubling, so it is not ectopic, it is not normal uterine pregnancy, it may be ectopic pregnancy. So this is the test for even ectopic. So ectopic pregnancy HCG levels are low. Best test for estimating HCG, it is radioimmunoassay. Now false statement regarding HCG. It is secreted by cytotrophoblast. This first one is wrong. It is secreted by syncytial trophoblast. Always remember trophoblast cells and not cytotrophoblast. We have seen in detail in the theoretical lecture, the description. You can go to that lecture through the description link playlist. It is present over there. It acts on the same receptor as LH. Yes, it is true. It has leukotropic action. This is also true, and it is a glycoprotein. Yes, of course. Now true about HCG. Its alpha subunit is identical to LH, FSH and TSH. Yes, it is true. And sometimes in PCOS, where LH level are high, on doing urine pregnancy test, what happens? You get a faint line at test area and dark line at control area. So this faint line, which sometimes woman feels, she feels happy that I am pregnant now, is actually because of this LH. The alpha subunit is similar. This is very commonly seen in women with PCOS who are having irregular cycles. When they miss their cycles, they do urine pregnancy test and they are very happy to report to us, oh doctor, I am pregnant. But ultimately you discover on further examination that she is not pregnant. So causes involution of corpus luteum? No. HCG is secreted. It prevents the involution of corpus luteum. It prevents, it does not cause. So true, A is true. It doubles in 7 to 8 days. Just now I told you it doubles in 48 hours. So C is also not true. Maximum level is seen at 60 to 70 days. Yes, this is true. And detection in serum in urine is 8 to 9 days after ovulation, even before she misses her period. Nowadays, the urine pregnancy test that are present over the counter, they come positive even before her missed period. One more thing important about HCG, which is important clinically mostly, that now a woman in early pregnancy, UPT done, she is positive and she does not want this pregnancy. Now what she is doing? She is undergoing, suppose, medical termination. Medical termination by RU486, or you can say mifepristone, and she aborts. There occurs bleeding, and what happens after 7 8 days or 10 days, she again is repeating this UPT and it comes positive, and she comes to you, oh doctor, I have not aborted fully. Now what you will explain her? That in early pregnancy the HCG levels are high and the clearance through the body is low, so this may come positive for up to 28 days post abortion. So clinically you should be aware about this small thing, otherwise you will subject her to battery of tests to see what happened and why she did not abort. Now true about amniotic fluid. It's same concentration of plasma throughout pregnancy. No, this is not true. It forms from transudation of plasma through fetus skin before 20 weeks. Yes, before keratinization, which occurs at 20 weeks of gestation. It is, B is true. The fetus swallows amniotic fluid. Yes, this is also true. Condition where swallowing is not facilitated or there is some obstruction, it will lead to polyhydramnios. Protects fetus from injury. Yes. And main channel for gases exchange. No, this is not true. So B, C and D are true. Following hormones secreted by placenta exclusively. Answer HCG and HPL. HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin, and human placental. So these are the two hormones. HCG is secreted by, just now we talked about it is secreted by the syncytial trophoblast cells. If it is not mentioned, only trophoblastic cells are mentioned. Yes, it is true. Amniotic membrane, no. Fetal yolk sac, no. Hypothalamus, no. Our answer is A. Estrogen and progesterone is first 2 months of pregnancy are produced by. First 2 months they are asking. It is produced by corpus luteum in first 2 months. After that, after around 12 weeks, what happens? Placenta takes over the, placental formation is complete and placenta takes over the charge of this hormone synthesis. But in initial 2 months, if they are asking, it is secreted from corpus luteum. So answer is D. If you like the video, please do subscribe my channel for more videos and share the video among your friends. And if you have any queries, do post in the comment box and I will reply you soon. Thanks for watching.